Yo, it's me, Kira8428, back at it again with the existing. And today I wanted to do something for Pride Month. Well, really, I wanted to do it a while ago, but here we are on the 23rd. It's when this video should be going up. Better late than never. And look, I know 2020 has been hell for a lot of the LGBT plus community. Mainly in America, to me, as that is where I live, and that is what I know. However, my political tirades and whether or not I have rights are for another video. Instead, I wanted this to be more lighthearted and a bit more, personal, I guess? I don't know. Well, you'll see. But first, for anyone who is unaware of what Pride Month is about, and there are many people who are, it is a celebration to commemorate the Stonewall riots in June of 1969, where protesters in New York, in short anyways, fought against police harassment and persecution of the LGBT plus community. It's considered a major stepping stone for a community and also serves as a reminder that there's still more to fight for. Today, or at least when we could go outside, we would celebrate with parades and by flying the rainbow flag, a symbol of our pride. There would be several events from dances to parties to drag shows to a bunch of other fun stuff. Of course, there would still be people who try to stop the fun, but like I said, we can make an entire separate video about that. Just remember to keep aware that as fun as those events are, there are people who sadly are still vehemently against what they represent. But with that covered, let's talk about me. So, first, my relationship with Pride has been very lax in comparison to a lot of people I know. My family, despite my mom literally being a boomer, is probably the most supportive family I could ever hope to have. My family always told me it didn't matter who I loved, and that I will be forever grateful for that. They never pushed me to be any particular way, giving me a choice for basically everything, from my religion to my sexuality to whatever. They would have legitimately let me be a right-wing Christian vegan if I told them that's what I wanted. Granted, they would probably silently judge me over the dinner table, but they wouldn't kick me out of the house for it. Hell, my dad used to say I could be a damn police officer so long as I didn't wear the uniform in the house, and honestly, knowing my dad, that meant a lot. You still want to be a detective. How things change. But anyways, because of that, I always considered the terms used in Pride as simply a short way to describe how I felt. I'd never really cared to flaunt their colors, especially considering sexuality should only be told to people you either want to fuck or not fuck. But that's just my 2 cents on the matter. If it doesn't affect anything, why bring it up, essentially. However, it's the fact that bringing it up could make you lose your job, or your home, or the ability to raise a child that also kinda kept me quiet. Why would I risk it? If they don't need to know anyways, why tell them? But the fact that I have to hide something that's just part of who I am, or risk my entire life going down the drain is genuinely appalling. So I stopped hiding it. Rather than worry in the future about some company finding out about the kind of things I am, I find it better to tell them up front. If they don't hire me, then I don't want to work there anyways. And besides, I'm already black and assigned female at birth, so I might as well check all the other boxes on the why I couldn't work under white supremacist checklist. And that brings me to my next topic. What am I? And it's complicated, but the absolute simplest answer I can give, and the flags I wave currently, are that I'm a masculine-leaning pansexual and that I'm bigender, who typically defaults to she/her pronouns. So what does that mean? Well, for one, if I want, I could pass for a perfectly straight woman no matter how uncomfortable that makes me. But for another, it's how I describe the complicated feelings I have. For one, when I say masculine-leaning pansexual, I don't mean I prefer men but can swing with both. I mean, I tend to like more stereotypically masculine qualities in people, but ultimately I don't care about their gender identity. In fact, I just tack on masculine more as flavor text, if anything. If a very effeminate woman liked me and I thought we could work, then I'd be down. Heck, that kinda happened once, but personally I'm quite happy with my boy and I wouldn't trade him for the world. Love ya, hun. But as a side note though, if you're in the LGBT plus community and you believe that being in a straight relationship is going against a person's sexual identity or automatically makes them straight, then you're stepping in the complete wrong direction and need to reevaluate yourself. Because what you're doing is exactly what people outside of the community try to do to us. They try to make us invalid because we don't fit their norms. That's not okay. That's literally what we're fighting against. Shut up. Now, I'll be honest, my sexuality is a lot more complicated than that, but seeing as I don't plan on becoming a YouTube harlot, that really doesn't matter. I don't ever want to date someone who discovered me through YouTube. That's creepy and an unhealthy relationship in the making. But it's the gender thing that's more substantial anyway, because I'ma be honest, while I claim bigender, I'm heavily questioning. Bigender is the best way to describe how I feel, and is my interpretation. And in my interpretation, it means I feel two genders at the same time. Male and female for me personally. And no, I'm not trans. Those are completely different. A trans person feels they are in the wrong body and wish to transition to a different biological sex to correspond to their gender. Yes, there's a difference between sex and gender. No, I won't explain now. Look in the description. I'll link some stuff by a guy whose videos I like. Everything about this is complicated. It's just something that you kind of have to say, yeah, okay, too. When I say, though, I'm bigender, yet still use she, her pronouns, that's because to me it's not the pronouns that make the difference. For someone, it makes a world of difference, but to me it doesn't. It's how I feel, what I do, and how I act. That's what defines that to me. If I want to feel particularly masculine, I'll wear clothes I specifically got from the men's section, which is most of them. I'll walk a certain way, I might talk a bit differently. I'll do things that make me feel more masculine. I have a collection of wigs. I love to collect wigs. Some I wear if I want to feel feminine, with long hair. Others are masculine and are often short. I will literally wash an outfit if it helps me feel more the way I want to that day. To be fair, though, I feel like that's more me being extra than my gender, but whatever. Some people would innocently ask if then I'm gender fluid. And I would say, well, no, because I don't feel that way. I don't feel the constant changing that I personally associate with gender fluidity. I feel like I am constantly in the middle, so to speak. I lean heavily masculine on some things and heavily feminine on others all the time. And the best way to describe that feeling to me is bigender. To me, these terms aren't so much a firm, what are you? They're simply the best way to explain something that otherwise takes paragraph. And really the only reason I'm explaining those paragraphs is because it tends to help some people feel comfortable. Knowing that someone out there is either like you or also doesn't fit in a single definition just like you is comforting. And it brings about the feeling of normalcy. And that's what I want. I want someone who just happens to be outside of the standard male and female to be normal. That's it. Really, that shouldn't be much to ask for, but you know. No one has to change who they are, unless they're a racist cockhole. But we can't continue denying people that exist just because they're different. I know it's confusing and challenging, but honestly, it wouldn't be if when someone says they're gay or bi or trans or anything, we just say, that's cool. Tell me what I should call you, then let's go get tacos. And if they want an explanation as to what that means so they can better understand you, then give it. If they don't, fine. As long as they acknowledge you're a human being and that you deserve tacos if you want them. If not, then give them to me. But, I don't know. Enough about what is or isn't in people's pants or brains. Let's talk about celebrating Pride. Honestly, it's fucking hard considering we shouldn't be going outside. I mean, I miss parades and overpriced pizza as much as the next guy. But I can at least talk about the before times, when the sun was seen more than once a month as we scuttled from our caverns to get groceries. I actually went to my first Pride event last year, and it was legitimately amazing. I actually went to my first 2 Pride events last year. I went to a Pride ball over like a school dance, which was awesome. It's essentially just like, I want to say it was held by one of our LGBT church groups in our community. One of my friends invited me, and it was the first like big like Pride event I'd ever went to, and I'd never felt so welcome and happy amongst a group of people in my life before. That was before I realized I was bigender, but like being in a place where if I were to say that I'm uncertain about what my gender is and being able to be accepted for that, it's a wonderful feeling and notion, honestly. Just the ability to do that if I wanted to. Also the fact that we all gathered in a circle and T-posed around a bunch of people laying on the floor and chanted sacrifice, that was also awesome. But and then the second Pride event I went to was my first like Pride festival, which was... There's people outside. That's nice. It's concerning. There are police outside. We've been back and forth here for a while because of our neighbors. I'm kind of concerned about that. But, you know. Right, but, yes. So I went to my first Pride festival last year, which was also great. That's where I got the pan flag. Honestly, I'm upset they didn't have it this year, because I would go get another flag. I went there with a bunch of my friends and stuff. I went to both events with just a bunch of my friends, and it was just a good time. I remember, too, doing Dio's Re on a step, and just in the distance I hear the shout of weebs, and I'd never felt so welcome. Like, I've only had good experiences when it comes to the Pride community, and I know that's a very rare thing, and it's a very lucky thing, but I will treasure that forever, especially considering, you know, all the stuff that's currently going on right now. It's hard to believe that a community that can have so much fun and just exist as human beings is essentially having to fight for their right to be acknowledged as human beings. Like, it's depressing, it really is, but hopefully we can change that. I mean, and I'll try to do my part on that as much as I can, even though I'm somewhat incompetent most of the time. I wonder if, you know, but yeah. I will leave links to a bunch of information and stuff in the description. I'll leave a link to the Trevor Project, which you could donate to. They essentially help dealing with, like, LGBT communities, like, people in the LGBT community who might be suffering, like, suicidal thoughts or depression. They help a lot of those people and give them a place to essentially feel safe and welcome. And they have a lot of information too about the LGBT community on their website as well, if you want to browse through that. I'll leave links to the 2 videos regarding gender and sex, because there's a distinct difference. There's also more than 2 on both sides, which should also be acknowledged, but, you know. What else could I link to? I'll leave a link to stuff for straight allies as well, because there are a lot of things that straight people can do to help the community, and not just, like, because if you want to help the LGBT community, you can't just participate in the Pride festivals and the balls. You have to help the community. I mean, that's because it's not just about celebrating, it's about fighting. It's not just play, there's also work involved. And we need to remember that. But that's basically the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed what was mostly rambling. And yeah, that's basically it though. That's all, and I hope you have a nice day. Happy Pride Month. And good luck out there in 2020.